Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous, and here's his story. Hi, Ollie. My contribution for my second anonymous story, which I would like to share with your audience. I provided the material for the video. Don't accept the crazy label from the narcissist where I speak about my parents. This time I want to talk more about me and my siblings. I've been watching videos about narcissism for months now, and I just recently found out the role of a lost child, as a majority of videos speak about a golden child and a scapegoat role. I see now that my brother was the golden child, my sister the scapegoat, and I was the lost child. My brother is almost 13 years older than me, and my sister is 11 years older. So the story begins before I was born. My brother received special attention as he had asthma. My sister wanted the same attention, so she tried to cough the same way as my brother. But what she got was negative attention, as my parents saw that as just an act. As kids, they had a lot of physical fights, and my sister often won. But when I was born, all the family members behaved quite nice around me so that I would not be affected with negativity. But I felt the peace was kind of fake. I'll tell you exactly what you are. I don't think you're the lost child. I think you were supposed to be the perfect child. The child they were supposed to shield from everything, that they were going to do it right this time, and they end up fucking it up worse than the other two. That was my Aunt Tina, who was like 15 years younger than her younger sister, than the next youngest sister, where she had a much different living experience, and apparently the other four did in my father's family. That was the experience with Charlene's youngest brother, where her and her older brother were beating the shit out of and all these horrible shit, and the other one doesn't even wipe his own ass. Didn't even wipe his own ass as an adult. I didn't like their overly kind behavior. There are some pictures where I, as a baby, slapped my mother's mouth as she was trying to sing something to me. I shared my bedroom with my brother, and I don't remember having much problem with him. I had problems with my sister, as we both wanted to watch television at the same time. I wanted to watch cartoons, and she wanted to watch soap operas, and she won the fights, as she was way taller and stronger. She often told me, though, that girls should not be beaten. I once tried to stab her with a hairdresser, I guess, which seemed very sharp to me. But I was, of course, far away from success. Even though I intentionally plotted to kill her, I'm not able to regret my act and my thoughts up to this day, as I was constantly frustrated by her at this time. I'm going to be honest with you, Anonymous. You kind of sound like Charlene's younger brother. You sound like you got entitlement issues here. And this is what happens when you have that kind of a gap between siblings, and the parents treat the young one far differently than they treated the older ones. Far differently. And what I think happens is, because the treatment doesn't change of the older siblings. It doesn't. That stays the same, and they become resentful. And you might even pick up on that at a very, very, very early age, and you can figure out that you can get away with things with your mother that they could never. I can even see some positive outcomes if I would have succeeded, as my parents would have to take responsibility because I was underage. I also thought about killing our preschool teacher, as she was very annoying and always shouting. But then I learned that I should not kill, so I don't think anymore about killing other people. My siblings went to college in our capital city as soon as I joined primary school. I started to have more problems with my parents at that time because I remained the only child at home most of the week, so I was used more oftenly as a workforce because my siblings were absent. I rebelled a lot. I wasn't thinking about killing my mother at that time because I was already taught not to kill, but I was fantasizing heavily about torturing her. I actually counted my parents' debts because they forced me to do things for them and to not eat and to eat not they forced me to do things for them and to eat not tasty food, and I had never forced them to do things for me. All the cooking, washing my clothes, and so on was made voluntarily without me asking for it. Once I had to eat certain non-tasty food. I had enough and pointed a knife towards my mom in order to force some promises to her. Yeah, dude, you got some real anger issues. Yeah, like that's not normal. That's not normal and it's not acceptable. Your parents made you like that because you weren't the lost child. You were the super golden child. You're the super golden child. And the super golden child is the one that's born years after the last sibling and is treated entirely different, and then they act entirely. And they have this fucking entitlement about them where if they don't get their way, they become violent. Her younger brother would become fucking enraged, violent when he didn't get his way, when he couldn't play his video games, when he didn't get his white rice and fucking chocolate chip cookies, because he would only eat literally the boy has a diet of 3 things: white rice, potato chips, and what was the third? And Cinnabon buns. That's it. That's it. She looked at my father disappointingly, who sat by the table, and I also turned my face towards him and bitterly smiled. She used the opportunity while I was distracted, and she grabbed my hand, which I had a knife, and took the knife and put it away. I was beaten afterwards by both my parents, but it didn't hurt me much, as I had known I was going to get it. My siblings joined yoga class in their early college years together with my cousin. It was led by a female leader. My sister seems to be the only one with positive outcome out of it and is up to this day still in touch with her. She rented an apartment where a murder took place and she became depressive at early college years. When she was home, she once came on all 4, barking like a dog into the room where I was. One other time, she bent the forks, knives, and spoons with her bare hands in front of me. I felt as a trash can for her feelings. After that period, her crazy behavior was over. She explained that the soul of a murdered woman came into her body, and the yoga teacher helped her one day to liberate her from it. Okay. All right. My brother and cousin had different experiences with yoga as they got into vegetarianism. My cousin got brainwashed and he adopted bipolar disorder later on based on that, and a Lyme disease he once had got in the woods. My brother was a vegetarian for 2 years, and the last month of it, he was a vegan. He had to stop the diet because he got negative physical effects. When I was a child, I saw my brother as a role model as he managed my parents well without conflict. I adopted his taste of hard and heavy. But in my teenage years, he softened, and that was a start of my disappointment with him, which just went on increasing for a whole decade and a half. He is now quite cynical, sarcastic, and likes to argue with people. I cut him off together with my parents 7 months ago. I tried to reestablish a connection with him by forwarding him your video about our parents, but he responded that our parents are getting old and we must help them. So I didn't respond back. I was in touch with my sister up up to that day, but I decided to cut her off too because she said she prefers to bring her son to our parents rather to my place. Her son will be 8 years old soon, and I am considering sending him a postcard for his birthday because he likes me and I don't want to disappoint him. He's also a fan of my work, so I feel I shouldn't neglect him. I don't want to see him start resenting me. So my question is, if I can have a relationship with my siblings or their children in the future, and if yes, in what circumstances? Should I send this video to a certain one of them? Also, it seems a bit odd the lost child is the first one going no contact. I don't have a clue of what's going on now in my family as I am not in touch with any of them for 3 months. What would sending a postcard do to my nephew's cause? I would like to thank you for the empathetic reading. I watched the first video numerous times. Best regards. Well, you're not a lost child. You're a super golden child. That was true, and that's very typical when there's a huge age gap like that. It's very, very typical. Okay? So, look, I don't know what good sending them another video of mine is going to do for them because they don't want to hear it. We've already established in your first video your parents are who they are. They fucked up your siblings and they screwed you up. The violence, the thoughts of killing people, these are very childlike entitlement issues, which you grew out of, luckily. And you realized they were wrong. It's not unusual. It's not weird that you were the first one to go no contact because you had a very different upbringing than your brothers and sisters. They sure as shit wouldn't have gotten away with, even though you did get your ass beat. Your brother and sister wouldn't have gotten away with the things you got away with. That entitlement they gave you actually blew up in their face. Because it gave you the entitlement to say, I'm not taking this from any of you and I'm walking away. That's why you were able to walk away. Not because you were a lost child, because you were the super golden child. The one they were going to try to get everything right with, and they ended up damaging you probably worse than the other two. So, I hope that helps. Thank you for another contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take